Hi guys, welcome back. So still on Flexbox. So before you start this video, make sure you go through the previous one, and I'm going to drop the link to the previous video on the description. So make sure you go through the previous video, because this particular video is not a standalone video, right? There is no way you understand what I'm doing except you go through the previous video. So let's get started. So in the last class, you noticed that we had 5 of these cards in a particular row, and this is the result of it, right? And this is our styling. This is our styling. Okay, so let's imagine that we make this like 7 cards. Let's see what it's going to look like. So do this. Let's do like 7 cards. Okay, so just do this. When we save our work, you see 7. So, and we just want only 5 cards in a row. So how do we do this, right? There's an attribute called flex wrap. So inside this parent class, just come here and do flex wrap, right? And then you do wrap, so that it wraps everything, right? It wraps everything and it fits to the system width. Because if I don't do this, it will keep adding up, right? So let me just give you an example. So let me comment this, and you see we have it back to what it was, and come to your HTML, and let's paste this thing. Let's paste it maybe so we have a lot of it now. So look at this, and if I do more of it, it will overflow. Do you see that? So let me show you that. And so it keeps overflowing. You see that? We don't want this, right? We don't want this. So how can we make it such that once it gets to 5, it starts another row? So you come to this CSS and make sure you do the flex wrap. Make sure you do this, save your work, and you see we have this more beautiful now. And if you look at here, you see that the space here is not even. It is because of this space between. Justify content, space between, right? So if you want to change this, you want it to you can just say justify contents start. So I think that solves the problem. So we have this right, that solves the problem. So, well, let me take it back to what we have. So space between. So we have this. Good, very good. Now next thing is, let's remove this red background and let's remove this blue background, and let's see what it looks like. Let's remove the blue background. Remember, the blue background and the red background was just to, you know, see the result of what we're doing. And you save your work and you see this right? It doesn't really look good. So let's see how can we make this card appear distinctly. So let's go to this, just come here, just type CSS box shadow, right? Enter. You see this link, click on this one and look at this. These are different box shadows. So let's click on this one. Once you click on it, it gets copied. So I like this one. Let's copy this one. This first one, right? I like it because it's a bit mild, not so sharp and all that. So come here under this card, paste it here. And then you see we have a shadow for each of the cards, right? So this looks much better, right? Looks much better. So you see, and if you don't like this, let's see if we can get something, you know. So come to this place, delete this guy and save this guy. Come here and view. So this is much more visible, right? Much more visible. Let's, you know, style this button so it looks more colorful. So here we want to give it a background color of, let's say, orange. And then once you do this, it's going to say orange. But you know, we don't want this. We want to give it some kind of other shades of orange. So you can come here and adjust your color. So let's use this, right? Okay, you want to, and you can also come here and maybe the transparency, you can make it more transparent, right? When you save your work, you see that it's very transparent, but we don't want that. We don't want any form of transparency. So make it 0 transparency, so it's completely opaque. So this is it, and let's remove this border. So to remove this border on this button, just come here and say border none, right? So we no longer have any border here. And let's give both this card and this button some curved some curves on the edges. So to do that, you come here and say border radius. Let's give it border radius of 8px, right? So look at the button, they now have a border radius but 8px, right? Seems too much. Let's give it 4. So we have this. Now let's also give this card a border radius of 4px. So we have this. So look at it. So do you see that this looks better? Looks better. It's getting close, looking like Amazon. So this is it. This is Flexbox. So this is the basic thing you need for everything you need about Flexbox, right? Flexbox. So one more thing we want to do is this card here, right? We're giving it a fixed width, which is not so good. The problem with having a fixed width is that when, let's say, this screen reduces, because it's already 300px, so let's say, I'm using a Mac Pro, right? If I was using a smaller screen, right? This thing is already, let me just give us an example. Look at this. Right, so okay, looks good. Okay, all right, so that's it. But sometimes it's good you give it percentage. Let's use percentage. So it's 20%. Since we want we want each card to have 20% of the size of the rest, so that we have 5. And so you see this, but the reason it's still like this is because this gap between us taking some and this gap here too. So by the time you remove this gap, if I remove this gap here and I also remove this gap here, if I remove this gap and I remove this pattern here, okay, you see that we'll have 5. We'll have 5. You see that? We'll have 5. But to make it cleaner, you come here, let's uncomment this guy, and then here you can make it 19, right? 19%. So we have this. So this is it. It looks better this way, right? So in the next class, we're going to be talking about box modeling using grid, and it's going to be very interesting. I promise you, grid is way more interesting and simpler to use. And in my experience, I've used grid most often, and I got better results. Well, they both have their use cases, right? But when I'm doing box modeling, right, when I'm working on cards, I prefer to use grid. It makes it more easy and seamless. So thank you very much. Watch out for the next video. Make sure you subscribe to get notification for the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.